Hey YouTube, this is MTG News with your host Aaron for episode 4, segment number 2. And we have more stupid stuff to talk about. Marjorie Taylor Greene launches 10-minute rant about being asked to help Ukraine as Putin raises nuclear threat. Right-wing politician claims that her constituents cared more about impeaching Joe Biden, which is probably true. Marjorie Taylor Greene filmed a 10-minute rant complaining that she was being asked to support Ukraine in its war with Russia. The Georgia lawmaker's bizarre video from her congressional office came as Vladimir Putin announced the call up of 300,000 Russian reservists and hinted that he would think about using nuclear weapons. Yes, he specifically said he was thinking about using nuclear weapons in Ukraine, so I don't care. Ukraine is one of the dumbest situations we've had in probably, I was going to say the last 20 years, but I just remembered the whole us pulling out from Afghanistan thing happened, so never mind. Marjorie's right in this case. No one should care about what's going on in Ukraine. We shouldn't be being asked to support them. For one reason only. At least here in America, one reason only. With specifically us as its citizens. Ukraine could have went and had peace talks a long time ago. And the reason I say that they could have, they're not going to now, but they could have, is because they were thinking about it at one point and then proceeded to have Boris Johnson, when he was still in office, the jackass, tell them not to negotiate, to continue to fight, and that negotiating was not an option. If the British Parliament wants to tell the Ukrainians that negotiating is not an option and that they should continue to fight, well, they can fund the fucking thing then. I don't care. No American should care at this point. If other governments want to step in and tell Ukraine that it cannot negotiate with Russia, that it has to keep fighting, and that they're going to continue to support it as long as it does, well, as far as I'm concerned, they can go ahead and fucking do it. I don't give a shit. It's not my problem. The situation in Ukraine and with Russia is beyond destroyed. I recommend, if you don't know the history of it, go look back into it. I'm not going to sit here and go through it because I don't feel like filming a 2-hour video. But suffice it to say, it is beyond corrupt. The country that is Ukraine is a joke. It's a banana republic. CNN reported this not that long ago. She's right. There's no reason for Americans to care about what's going on in Ukraine. Now, did the military industrial complex and the statesmen, I hesitate to call them that, of our country cause what's going on in Ukraine? 100%. Oh, sorry. Hiccups and burping. Yes, our country statesmen did cause the problem. But we can't help that. If the statesmen that are basically a rotating door, I'm talking about the Clintons, I'm talking about the Joe Bidens, uh, you know, the political families of our establishments. If they want to cause this kind of crap, it's not our problem. We need to focus on just getting those people out of any kind of power so that they can't keep doing this stuff. And then focus on fixing our own country. Which is exactly what Marjorie got at when saying my constituents care more about getting rid of Joe Biden and impeaching him than they do about Ukraine. You can't save the world when your house is on fire. And unfortunately for us, ours is on fire right now. Does it suck that, a bunch of Russians and Ukrainians are dying because our politicians decided they were going to play politician in other countries where they didn't understand anything and decided to overthrow the actual Ukrainian government in, I believe it was 2014. Yeah, it does suck. I can't do anything about that. There's nothing anyone in this country can do about that other than get those people out of power. Does it suck that Vladimir Putin is calling more Russians, out of the reserves to get ready to fight? Yeah, because those Russians are probably going to die. All of them? No. A good bit of them? Yeah, probably. Just how a ton of Ukrainians are dying. Does that suck? Yeah, it does. Would it suck if he launched a nuclear weapon? Yeah, it really would. But this is the consequences of the idiot politicians we have playing politics in other countries and being really bad at it. So the only thing we can really do is get those people out of positions of power. And that's not just elected officials, that's a lot of other unelected people as well. Put people in positions of power who are responsible. And, probably, to be fair, there's a lot of those positions we could just leave vacant and never worry about ever again. But I digress. We just need to make sure that we get the career politicians who only care about making money for themselves and who cares what happens to the rest of the world. We've got to get those people out. Put responsible people who actually care about the country in positions of power. And then try and do the best we can to de-escalate once we are actually in a position to do that. And right now, we're in a position where it's like, oh god, we have a demented old man running the country. What are we going to do? Well, we could try impeaching him again. That didn't work the last time, but hey, it's always an option. Next segment.